Are you sometimes wondering whether to say more polite or politer? Are you unsure whether to say better than or better as? If you do, then join me in this lesson for a review of comparative and superlative adjectives. This is Teacher Axel, and in this lesson, we're going to have the definition, examples, discuss the rules of comparative and superlative adjectives. We'll also end the lesson with some practices so you could check your understanding. Comparative adjectives are used to compare differences between the two objects they modify. Examples: larger, smaller, faster, higher. They are used in sentences where two nouns are compared. Take a look at this pattern. Noun subject plus verb plus comparative adjectives plus than plus noun object. Let's have an example for that. Khatun is taller than Amina. Our adjective here is tall. We call it comparative adjectives because we are comparing two nouns, Khatun and Amina. Superlative adjectives are used to describe an object which is at the upper or lower limit of a quality. Examples: the tallest, the smallest, the fastest, the highest. They are used in sentences where a subject is compared to a group of objects. Now let's take a look at this pattern. Noun subject plus verb plus the superlative adjective plus noun object. Example: Khatun is the tallest girl in the class. In this example, we use tallest instead of taller because Khatun is being compared to all the other girls in the class. Remember, comparative adjectives are used when a comparison is done between two things. On the other hand, superlative adjective is applied in the sentences when a single thing or a person is compared with every other member of that group. Let's have an example to see a clear picture of what comparative and what superlative is. As we have said, comparative is comparing two, while superlative is comparing three or more. Let's have an example for this. Let's use the word old. My dad is old. You're not going to add ER or EST because you're not comparing your dad to anyone. My grandfather is older than my dad. Here, you add ER because you're comparing your grandfather to your dad. My great-grandfather is the oldest. Here, you put EST because you're comparing your great-grandfather to your dad and to your grandfather. For one-syllable adjective, ER is added at the end to make it comparative, and EST is added at the end to make it superlative. Example: old, older, oldest, long, longer, longest, fast, faster, fastest, short, shorter, shortest. For one-syllable adjective, if the word ends with E, then only R will be added for comparative and ST for the superlative form. Example: wise, wiser, the wisest. If the adjective follows the pattern of consonant, vowel, consonant, double the consonant before adding ER for comparative and EST for superlative form to the end of the word. Example: big, bigger, the biggest, fat, fatter, the fattest. For two syllables adjective, more is used for the comparative form and most is used in the superlative form. Example: careful. Careful has two syllables. For comparative, you will say more careful. For superlative, you will say the most careful. With two-syllable words that end in Y, change the Y to an I and then add ER for comparative and est for superlative form. Example: happy, happier, the happiest. Adjective with 3 or more syllables, more is used for comparative form and most is used in the superlative form. Example: important. Important has 3 syllables. More important, the most important. However, some comparative and superlative adjectives do not follow any rule. These are known as irregular adjectives. Here are some examples: good, better, best, many, more, most, bad, worse, worst, little, less, least. Now we're finished with all the rules of comparative and superlative adjective. Let me give you some words to answer. What do you think are the comparative and superlative of the following words? Number 1, fantastic. 2, fabulous. 3, fine. 4, strong. 5, lazy. If you know the answers, don't forget to write it in the comment below. Let's summarize our lesson. Adjectives can compare 2 things or more than 2 things. When we make these comparisons, we use comparative and superlative forms of adjective. Always remember that when you're comparing 2, you use comparative. When you're comparing 3 or more, you use superlative. Thank you for watching this video. Happy learning!